6'9", what, 250? Built like a Greek god. And he ain't even 25 yet.
King James, LBJ, the prodigy, the man-child, the chosen one. Or, if you prefer, you can just call him LeBron.
LeBron is legit.
Probably has never been anybody in the history of the game that has had more expectations to live up to than this kid.
The hype was so big that all you could think was he's gonna fail, because it's just not fair to put all of that on a kid who's 18, 19 years old.
His demeanor, his maturity, has just been so great to see him deliver beyond anybody's expectations, I think, in terms of on the court and off the court. But in terms of on the court, man, it's just crazy to see some of the stuff he can do. Imagine a linebacker in football doing this, crazy stuff. And also that the desire to get his teammates involved, I think, is awesome to see.
I was in that Book of Dams commercial. This cat comes down, he's throwing no-look behind the back passes up in a balcony and hitting these people with it. I love LeBron.
When the veteran designers at Nike met the high school phenom from Ohio, they created a series of kicks that relentlessly pushed the boundaries of imagination and technology.
When Phil Knight retired, his last words were, when he left the stage, was, "Never forget to hear the voice of the athlete." And that was something that we kind of saw in LeBron, which was he was the new voice. It's very easy to design a shoe around an athlete because they bring so much more than just the way they play. It's the way they think, it's their family, it's where they're from, it's where they're going. It all gets kind of started to blend into the shoes, and you can really start to see personality.
This is my first ever shoe, so, this has to be, one of my favorites. Growing up as a kid, you always wanted to have your own signature shoe.
When LeBron was a kid, he was looking at a globe, and he noticed that Akron wasn't on the globe. And he looked it up, and he saw it wasn't on the map either. And he actually said, when he was a kid, he said, "I'd like to put Akron on the map."
I got to know him before we signed him, actually, because we would go visit with him, watched him play in high school a little bit.
LeBron, when he first got his first shoe, we didn't know him that well. So let's go actually talk to him more about it and get more involved with him. And the idea was that he just needed a little bit more comfort, and he needed a little bit more cushioning. So we invented a new Zoom bag for him. Zoom Air is great because it gives you great cushioning, but at the same time it gets you really low to the ground.
So Zoom Air becomes a good solution for players at the highest levels of sport. The second LeBron shoe was, performance-wise, is very similar to the first one because he liked it.
The mind of Ken Link, I guess, goes a little crazy, and he made the LeBron too, which is great.
What you saw in the first shoe, and hopefully in this next shoe, was this idea of getting after that hybrid nature to the athlete. It has to be very quick and low to the ground, very responsive for that point guard. And at the same time, it has to be built for a guy who's 6'8", 240, who can drop down in the post and post up a guy who's 6'8", 7 feet. He actually took a picture out of a magazine, he tore it out, and it was this picture of this bulletproof vest. And he's kind of like, this is kind of like my game. When we looked at it, we really liked this thought of this utilitarian kind of aspect to a bulletproof vest. It just kind of does what it says it does. And so we took that kind of same approach with the shoe, which is very much the lines and the way that it's built. It really kind of created the overall aspect of the shoe and the way that it looked and stuff.
3 was when I really started to open up, knowing a little bit more about the shoe game and how they were created and things like that. I wanted them to be light, I wanted them to look good, and I also wanted them to feel good.
This shoe, the leather was dope. This was just a dope shoe.
So the 3 actually encompasses a whole new way of looking at this whole heel chassis that locks the heel back into the footbed and still allows the forefoot to move and make that first quick step.
This big guy really needs to be really cinched down.
The 2 was more raw. This one was a little bit more dialed up in it, and the idea of dressing him up and getting him ready for the game.
See if you really want it ball when you step up on the court. You supposed to be in the new Lebron fours for real.
If I improve from one off season to the regular season, my team automatically improves.
Well, I think this was a great way to keep LeBron kind of harnessed to the footbed and really worked well for him on court. But we recognized that we could do something a little more special, a little more revolutionary, and at the same time a little more holistic for his performance needs. And I think that's where the idea of Foamposite came in.
Foamposite is a technology we've had for quite a while, but it's been refined, and the idea is to create a guardrail system for such a big athlete. So again, cutting to the right or to the left is not a problem.
What's exciting about the 4 is that taking that protective benefit and that support benefit of Foamposite, but adding this new learning of freeing the foot and letting it be as flexible as possible.
We've never actually created this kind of podular system that allows for great natural motion through the athlete's game, and the idea that we could really break it up and allow for this great flexibility, and so you could really kind of harness that first step, which we all know is what great athletes all have, is that great first step. And LeBron is no different than any of them. Before was great, and people loved it.
This is breathtaking right here.
Very much a sneakerhead type shoe.
It's a nice material.
We already in the championship and we won, baby.
Really, this was a lot of the learnings that we got out of the 4. We wanted to be a little more holistic again, and maybe a little more hidden in it. So really, there's only a couple spots on the 5 where you really begin to see the 5-posit technology come out. And then we also learned some things about actual natural motion for basketball.
We still recognize that he's got to move quick.
It really does represent all of these things that we've learned over the decades, you know, and applies it to today's player in a way that's really relevant.
You know, I think I've delivered some sort of storytelling around LeBron, and even just the way that he is dealing with, you know, his life and he's growing up. You can start to see that kind of, again, that graduation from one year to the next, and the idea that, you know, it's kind of bringing everybody along for the journey. And so that's kind of, again, where the shoe comes in and where his voice comes in, which is basically like, come on for the ride. We're ready to go. We're going to ramp it up. We're going to change the game.
I never had a point in time where I doubted myself. I never thought back on any play I ever made. I make the play, and I live with it, and I move on, and I get better the next day.